to say something about that daily word today. Because the daily word says, I ask for comfort, I ask the divine for comfort. Well, you all as my witness, I am asking the divine, and I'm asking you to join me for a new car. It doesn't have to be brand new, but it's gotta be steady Eddie, okay? And I've had my car 19 years, and it's got almost 290,000 miles on it. It's about that far. It's a Subaru Forester. It's the best car in the world. I love my baby. I don't want to give it up, but Spirit has been telling me it's time. And I'm like, okay, provide the means.
Subaru should give you a new car. I mean,
Exactly. My issue is I've been telling Spirit, I've got to get to 300,000 miles. I just got to do it. Then you can join this 300,000 mile club, and I can say, I had my car 20 years. It's just, anyway. So anyway, here we are. Are you a seeker or a finder? So the way this came about, the title of this talk is, I was reading a text that I now read daily along with A Course in Miracles. So I do my Course in Miracles lesson, and then I read something from a series of books by Paul Selig that's also channeled. It starts with the book, I Am the Word. And it takes a lot of what the Course says and puts it differently. And the guides that are part of this process, they actually work with you in the text. And because I'm an intuitive, I can feel their energy. So it's very powerful. I would not give up the Course, but this is something that adds to it for me. So here's what I was reading. We want you to imagine for a moment that there was one thing you have always valued in yourself. And you can do this while I'm reading if you want. One aspect of you that you have claimed in power, your authority in whatever area you choose. The way you sing a song, the way you treat your fellows, the way you think a thought. Whatever it is, give whatever it is you give worth to. We want you to imagine that it is expressing itself as you. We want you to align yourself right now to that sense of value, as if that one aspect of you was a chord being played in your resonance. You are radiating and resonating as the one thing you say is worthwhile. So I had my eyes closed, was doing this process, and I was looking, and I was like, nothing was coming up. I was like, okay, well, I'm not good at tennis, you know. Like I was just looking, I wasn't seeing anything, and then out of the depths popped seeker. And so all my life, since I was a little kid, I've had this desire to search for God. And even, you know, very young. So I saw that and I thought, yeah, that's something I really see as worthwhile, that's the thing that I value the most about myself, is that I've been on this journey for a long time. But then up popped something else. And that was the mind seeker. The part of the mind that's always seeking, always looking, always trying to find the next best thing, looking for adventure, looking for satisfaction, looking for a way out. And I got to see that, oh my gosh, my life, you know, I'm always looking for the next diet. I had called Terry and said, Terry, what diet did you use to lose 40 pounds, right? So I did it for a week, and I lost 6 pounds, right? And I did it for a second week, and I lost nothing. And so, you know, I'm in this frustrated mode, put 2 pounds back on in one day, and then this came along. And it's like, okay, I'm seeing the mind now. I'm seeing what the mind has been doing for years and years. Not just the search for God, but the monkey mind. It kept seeking but not finding. And that's what the Course tells us is the motto of the ego. Its purpose is to keep seeking but not finding. So what happened after I saw that I'm always looking for the next diet, the next best supplement, even though I have all these supplements on the counter I'm not taking, looking for the next best superfood, even though I've got, stuff in the refrigerator, on the internet looking for all kinds of good things. Okay, what's the best exercise, all these things that my mind is just, and I was like stunned. And then the next thing that came up out of this unconscious was a plaque that I used to have on my wall. I had it for years and years, and it just, anyway, I'm not sure what happened to it, but it's attributed to Jonathan Livingston Seagull. And it says it's good to be a seeker, but sooner or later you have to be a finder. And that it is good to give what you have found a gift unto the world for whoever will accept it. So then I go to, okay, I see the mind, I see the seeker mind, I see what it's been doing to me all these years. Not this part, but this part. And this part can get all into this part can get over here and get all into the seeking too, and, travel to India, do all these crazy things, but it's part of the unfolding. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a step along the way. But when you see that it's still going on, then you can make a decision inside yourself to be a finder. So I decided in that moment that I was going to be a finder. And right underneath my Course in Miracles book, sitting where I meditate, was a book from Mooji. And he's a Jamaican who went to India and woke up. Amazing, beautiful, beautiful being. And he has a book, the name of the book was Before I Am. And so for the last week, I've been reading him also because he puts me in that place of knowing who I am, because he's there. He knows it. He lives it. So the ego says, seek but do not find. And how does it go about doing this? It keeps us focused on the outer. So I talked about the internet searches. I'm not on Facebook, but I have a friend that spends hours a day on Facebook, and that's why I don't do it. And there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just that it keeps us on the hamster wheel of existence, and we keep going round and round and round, and we don't focus on what's here. So Mooji says the mind is ever seeking new lands to explore in search of satisfaction, restless for change, hungry for adventure. It misses its one real refuge, the self. So again, the ego is keeping us focused on the outside. What else does it do to keep us from finding that self? It makes things complicated. So what's the next best diet? And it's always got to be complicated because Terry's diet, you eat more protein because I've been a vegetarian for many years and there's a lot of meat, so I couldn't follow the recipes. So Spirit's got to keep it complicated. So in this decision to become a finder, I just said, that's it. I'm done. I've been doing this my whole life since I was teenager, enough. So what do I know? I know that people that are naturally thin eat when they're hungry. So that's what I've done for a week. And I released 4 pounds. So it's that inner knowing. You're listening to, I was listening for the hunger. I was listening inside for the hunger. And I started taking my supplements. I muscle test which ones are right for me. I started taking my homeopathy again. So there's a part of this that we can call the finder, that's separate from that craziness, that hamster wheel, that can just say enough and make a decision to do something different. So that's how we can counter the ego keeping us focused out here and keeping us focused on things that are complicated. There's something else. I'm sure there's many, many ways that the ego keeps us distracted, but one of the ways I read from the book of Knowing and Worth. And these books talk a lot about our worth, and that when we don't believe we're worthy, what happens is we keep spirit at bay. So we stay in our shame, we stay in our guilt, we stay in our, I should have done it differently. So I'm a spiritual counselor, and one of the things I do is I help people release it, because I'm an intuitive also, and I can see the stuff. So just don't worry, because I only do it if I have permission. I'm not sitting here knowing all this stuff about everybody. And so that's something that helps us release. And these books do the same. These books have exercises, they have affirmations. So one of the major affirmations that we do, and you can feel the energy of it as you do it, because the guides are infusing us with energy. And one of the great affirmations is, I know who I am, I know what I am, I know how I serve. And the books will tell you what that means. They say, I am the Word. So in the beginning was the Word. And they'll explain to you that the Word is the extension of God. And that's what we are. We are the extension of God. So they use affirmations, they use energetic downloads, they use releasing the past through exercises, and all these things help us to gain our worth, to realize our worth. Our worth is already there. We just don't have access to it all the time. Some of us have access to it. I'm deciding I'm worthy of a new car right now. So, so through A Course in Miracles, the I Am the Word books, other paths, these aren't the only paths, we finally get to the point where we realize that God really, truly loves us. That we're worthy, that we're beautiful. Now, many of you that have heard me speak before know that my favorite poet is Hafez. And he says, know the true nature of the divine. In his loving eyes, your every thought, word, and movement is always, always beautiful. We're already that which we're seeking. We're already it. It was given us before we even came into birth, before we had an I am sense, a sense of presence. So the seeker and the finder are great things. They're ways for us to experience life. And it's not that the finder is the end product, the end goal. We can go beyond those. They're both concepts. They both give us a sense of embodiment, that they're actually an aspect that has an energy body to them. But we're beyond even the seeker and the finder. So many of you also know that Spirit brings me signs. And so today, actually yesterday, it was an honest tea cap again. And it says, only a person who is risk-free, only a person who risks is free. And it's by the most famous person you will ever hear of, anonymous. That person gets crowned. So only a person who risks is free. And your beautiful song had that word in it, and my ear perked up, and I'm like, Spirit always knows the perfect song. So thank you so much that you listen to Spirit. So only a person who risks is free. So what are we risking? What do we risk in this process of going beyond the seeker and the finder? What do we risk by going beyond the hamster wheel? What do we risk by going beyond seeking but not finding? We risk the identity. So the whole purpose of that exercise in the beginning of finding what's worthwhile, it goes on and it talks about once you know what is worthwhile for you, then you can see what's in your life that no longer serves you. So what is in your life that no longer serves you that you can let go of? And many times it's a part of our identity. It's something that we've held on to, we've thought was a part of us. Oh my gosh. I'm just getting that my Subaru's been a part of my identity for 19 years. Oh, Lord. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so there we go. So we risk our conditioning, we risk our identity, we risk letting go of things that we've held on to for a mighty long time. So Mooji says who we really are is presence and awareness. So presence is that sense of I am inside that's beyond the identity. And Mooji says there is a presence which is more profound than any thought. It announces itself here in the heart. It is ever present, stable, and pure. When the attention rests inside, automatically the mental noise subsides and presence alone prevails. So how do we get to presence? Sometimes we have to use something external to give us a felt sense. So I want you to imagine, and you can close your eyes if you want, you don't have to. I want you to imagine the most beautiful sunset that you ever saw in your life. Or the most beautiful baby. Or your pet when it was just this tiny little thing. Or the joy of the person you love. Just feel that expansion in your heart. Feel how it's open and broad and unencumbered. That's the same feeling as feeling the presence. The presence, the I am, is love, joy, peace. It is untouched by anything outside, and it is always here. It's that felt sense, I am. So take a moment and just close your eyes and hear yourself say, I am. Without I am this or I am that, simply I am. I am life itself and existence itself. But we're also awareness. And what is awareness? Awareness is the seer that even sees and experiences the presence. So that which felt the beautiful sunset, you felt it as an opening of the heart or whatever, what is it that sees that? What is it that's almost like it's back behind the eyes, that it sees and experiences that I am sense? It's just awareness, that which observes in silence. There's a stillness in you no heavenly or earthly being can remove. In front of it, the mind is performing, and somehow attention goes there. Behind is pure silence, your real being. So rather than becoming involved with the scene that's out here, become the seer. So what is it that sees the scene? What is it that catches the mind on the hamster wheel? Is it the finder, or is that still attached to our humanness? Or is the seer always here, taking the next step, and we're not aware of it? Because you can't be aware of awareness. You have to only be awareness. So what is behind that? God loving us as consciousness, as awareness. And we are inside of that love, inside of that presence of the divine. So what have we learned here today? We've learned that the ego will try to keep us seeking constantly, but not finding. It does it in many ways, and some of the ways it does it is it keeps us looking outside. It keeps us being in the movie, having our attention go into the movie of the ego, the personality. And so our attention gets caught in that, and that's who we think we are. But we can pull ourselves back into that presence. We know what that feels like now. We can at least do that, right? So the ego also makes things very complicated and keeps us in confusion. And it tells us we're not worthy. So the truth is that none of that is true. We are worthy. We aren't the movie out here that we step into and become. We are presence. We are awareness. And what can we do from that place? It's good to be a seeker, but sooner or later you have to be a finder, and then it's good to give what you have found, the gift into the world for whoever will accept it. Doesn't mean you gotta go out and be a teacher. Doesn't mean you gotta do anything major. Doesn't mean you gotta add to your identity again by becoming this or that, because that's just more of it. What if the only thing you did was to go into your heart, imagine a beautiful sunset, and then send that out to the people you love? And if you wanted to, you could send it to this community, or you could send it to the world. And eventually, you're gonna get, through experiencing that on a regular basis, that that's who you are, rather than all this monkey mind out here. And so we can all do that. And eventually, someday, we'll know ourselves as awareness, which is one with the divine, which is the truth. Now, Spirit suggested that I finish with the lesson that I read today. And I start my year in March, so I won't be going along with the rest of you. I start on my birthday. Lesson 248. I have disowned the truth. Now let me be as faithful in disowning falsity. Whatever suffers is not part of me. What grieves is not myself. What is in pain is but illusion in my mind. What dies was never living in reality, and did but mock the truth about myself. Now I disown self-concepts, like seeker or finder, although they're perfect along the way. Now I disown self-concepts and deceits and lies about the Holy Son of God. Now I am ready to accept him back as God created him and how he is, and as he is, and I add, and as we are. Father, my ancient love for you returns and lets me love your Son again as well. Father, I am as you created me. Now is your love remembered and my own. Now do I understand that they are one. And so, as Melanie and David stated, it's a crazy time. Everyone's needed. We need to go into our hearts. We need to go beyond the finder and be the giver, the sharer, the presence that exudes the love. I was going into Safeway one day and this woman came out. She was carrying a bunch of flowers and she was just beaming. And that made my day. It shifted my energy. It shifted my awareness. Oh, I was thinking about that and it was bothering me. Can I just let that go? I mean, just that makes a huge difference. We don't have to be anything special other than what we really are in here. And so what you really are, what I really am, is God's love. God had extended himself as love as us, and now we can extend ourselves as love for everyone here, not just this country, but this world as we go forward. And so I thank you for joining me.